Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Let's Chat Live, a show where we do weekly live interviews to connect you to the voices behind the podcasts that you want to listen to and should listen to. I'm your host, Bree, producer of Let's Chat and Let's Chat podcast. And today with me, we have Tom, a special guest. His brother Kurt wasn't able to make it, so we got the better half. Sorry, Kurt,
That's right.
from the Half Hour Bros podcast. Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your show before we get started?
Yeah, thanks, Bree. So Kurt and I, we do a weekly show, drops on Fridays, and we try to keep it about a half hour. We riff on beer reviews, movie reviews, tell some stories about growing up. It's just a couple of crazy brothers just kind of shooting the crap for about a half hour, and we have a really good time. So yeah, come check us out, Half Hour Bros podcast. You can Google us. We're all over the place, all the platforms and everything. So happy to be
And
here.
you're really brothers, right? It's not like bros, but
I know.
awesome.
I'm like really ugly, and he's even uglier. You would think we were not related, but we are. So
I'm glad we got you, Tom. Do you want to go ahead and introduce our special guest today?
Yeah, this is the first time I'm meeting this guy, but he already seems like a blast from the pre-show. So we got Rob from the Fat Drunk Stupid podcast today. So welcome in, Rob.
Welcome, Rob.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, hey, Cinnamon.
Yeah.
The Burn says, "What's up?" And the Rebel, they just knew it was going to be a good show tonight, so they wanted to pop by. And what was your name again?
My name? Or your name?
Your name. I know my name.
We're off to a hot start, Rob.
So great.
This is why I only work with professionals. Only.
I like it.
No, yes. I'm Rob from Fat Drunk and Stupid, as previously mentioned. And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. This is my first time podcasting since October, so it might be a little rusty. So everybody, hey, buddy. So everybody just kind of, bear with me. I'm here in the garage in my hall. As you can see, got ladders and stuff back here. So that's a work in progress. But
beautiful.
I have a nice podcast sanctuary. Got a fridge full of beer right here. So we're ready to go.
That's all you need. So 5 months. What happened in that 5 months? Did you know that you were going to take such an extended break, or it just kind of happened?
A couple of things happened. I did. I done some shows, and then I did a show. The last show I did was with Lisa Scott, who she's got a great podcast. I was next with Lisa Scott. And then my wife's uncle passed away.
Oh no.
He was a 94-year-old World War II veteran. And,
Wow.
So obviously, her aunt and uncle had kind of been, during the pandemic, they just been staying at home, and we would like drive up in the driveway and like wave at them and stuff.
Aw.
So she was going to go spend a lot of time over there with her aunt and like cook for her and clean and take our daughter. We have a 3-year-old, take her over there, let her play. So I said, okay, so the next like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so, probably not going to plan any podcasting. And then I decided to take a Twitter break. So I deleted the Twitter for like a whole month to kind of cleanse myself, because I don't like social media, as myself and Bree have discussed previously. And that was in the real heat of the election stuff that last month going on there. And that stuff just, I hate it. And so anyway, I just kind of took a break, and then, then it was like Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that kind of stuff. And then actually in January, I was going to start back up again, but my computer updated to the new Apple operating system, and my stupid mic wouldn't work. So then
what do you do with that?
Well, I did post a thing on Twitter, and I was like, hey, could anybody else, because other people have had this issue where it's like the USB doesn't work. So I actually ended up working on it for a while, and then I bought a cord, because I have a Blue Yeti USB mic, but my computer is a MacBook what's it called, Air, so it doesn't have a USB port. So long story short, I ended up finding like the third cord I bought, it just plugged straight in.
Oh no.
So anyway, yeah, so that's that. So yeah, it was a break, but I've been looking forward to getting back, and I've tried to stay active on Twitter since my hiatus. And I love supporting other podcasters, and I like talking to other podcasters and that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I'm good to be back in everybody's ears, hopefully.
That's awesome. Do you have any like big plans with like your first guest or something crazy we should know about?
I do have a couple people that I've talked to that I've been wanting to have on. My buddy Dave, who does Beer in Front, is a really good podcast. We've talked about.
Oh, yeah, I know those guys.
Yeah, we're going to hook up and do something. And I've got several others. I mean, I've got. I was going to do one with Rooster Bat with David Cardenas, and I was on his show, and then we were going to do something the week that my wife's uncle passed away, so we postponed it, and then we just kind of. I think he's been on a break too. I think since like December maybe. So I'm going to circle back around to him too because he's such a good guy and he's so much fun. And we had, I mean, he and I talked for like 4 hours on his show. He does.
He's pretty funny. He's on Twitch, right? Yeah,
he does a Twitch thing, and we talked and it was really cool. So, I got some stuff in the pipe for sure. And I also have a YouTube channel. So I started adding video. With the shows, some of the shows that I did before. So I'm going to do some more of that too. So that's a lot of fun.
Oh, like YouTube videos of your show or just the audio?
No, both. Like I did the show with Lisa Scott, and I uploaded the video, and then I also did the audio as a podcast episode. So I thought that'd be kind of fun, kind of have do both. And then also do a lot of solo shows because I actually like doing solo shows too, because I found that if you do a solo show, there's no one there to disagree with you. So the show really flows a lot better,
Yeah.
That way I can just kind of implement my thoughts. But no, I like doing a mix of both. So hopefully all that will come to fruition.
That's awesome. Congratulations. And we're really happy to have you back at the podcasting world and the Twitter. Like we enjoy following you and your sassiness.
I do what I can. I try to, it all depends on what's going on Twitter. This has been a rough week for Twitter,
It's been a rough couple of years for Twitter.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it has.
That's the thing is I deleted Facebook like 6 years ago. And then last year in, I think April or May, for some reason, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a Twitter for the podcast.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. The good thing is I didn't know that there was such this like independent podcast network on Twitter, and it really was really cool. It's like as soon as I got on Twitter, I had these other podcasts start following me, and I'm like, well, how do they know I'm here? That's kind of weird, but it kind of went from there. Like, so it was there's a lot of work to do YouTube shows and podcasts. Not really, because the good thing is if you do a Zoom call, it records both, so does Skype. And then when you hit at the end, it gives you an audio file and a video file. So the video file, you can just do what you want with it. Then the audio file, you could just do like you would do a normal podcast. So it's really not that bad. Trust me, I've researched the cheapest, easiest, laziest way to do it. I guarantee you that, because I'm not about spending a bunch of money and all that kind of stuff. But I will spend money on some things. Just depends on what it is. But yeah, I think that stuff's a lot of fun. Hey, Glenda.
Hi, Miss Glenda.
So I think it adds an extra element, to it, definitely. And people get to see your face and kind of get to see how you are and that kind of stuff. So I think it's
you get to know the person.
Yeah, and doing a live show, I think is cool too. See, there you go.
Well, as long as you got the looks, you're good.
That's it. I got a face for radio and a voice for the papers. So I'm off to the radio.
Well, starting at the beginning, what made you want to get into podcasting originally? And did you have any experience beforehand?
No, I listened to some podcasts. I got into podcasts probably around 2012 or so. A buddy of mine turned me on to Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman, because I started listening to that. Like I really preferred it. I preferred it way back then because it was more Batman focused, but more like comic focused too. Like he talked to, like Mark Hamill was on there. Like he talked to Grant Morrison. He talked to Kevin Conroy, who's voiced Batman for many years in the animated series and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I started listening to like Mark Maron, and Hardcore History is a big one for me. I really like
Dan
Hardcore.
Carlin's the best.
Yes, I love Hardcore History. And back then I was a cop. And so on like night shift, I would, play a podcast when I was just driving around. And I was a good cop. I never killed anybody.
I didn't ask any questions.
You didn't kill anybody that didn't need killing, right?
That's right. Didn't deserve it. No. So, when you work a night shift, that's a good time to listen to podcasts. And I kind of eventually started thinking about actually doing one. And my wife got tired of me talking about it. And she was like, just do it already. Because
your wife sounds like me. Just get it done.
That's what wives do, man.
We're pushers.
Wives, when you're too low, they pick you up. When you're too high, they knock you down. That's what wives do. They're always there for you.
Yeah.
Keep you in check, man.
So I said, okay. So I kind of did some research about it. And I was like, well, that doesn't really seem, I thought you needed like a bunch of stuff. You don't really, as it turns out. And so I bought this microphone. And that's really the only thing I've ever spent money on as far as podcasting is concerned, is just this mic. Because I said, well, even if people don't really want to hear what I have to say, at least the audio quality will be good. Because there's some people, I mean, bless their heart, but it sounds like they're recording, it's just not good.
In a tin can.
It comes out like a drive-through speaker.
And that turns people off a lot of times, and so I did get this microphone, and I just felt like, I have a lot of stuff I could talk about that maybe people maybe find interesting, from being my military experience to my police stuff to talking about like mental health or just goofing off and just, drinking and just, farting around. I mean, that has its value too, as it turns out. So
it does. It gets people like a break from the real world, and like we need that.
Now. I mean, that's what I think. And so I first started, my first episode was me and my buddy Ben, who we hang out and play guitars together, and so we just it was right at my birthday when we did that, because he got me a bottle of Bullet bourbon for my birthday. So we drink bourbon and play guitars. Yes. And I hit record, and we just talked for like 2 hours, and we just talked about all kinds of different stuff. And I said, okay, I'm just going to publish it. And I did another episode with two other buddies of mine, which was it was a mess. We were just sitting around drinking. I think we drank about 2 cases of beer, and one of my buddies, Richard, just falls asleep like midway through. He just slumped over. And so anyway, it was some very humble beginnings, but we talked about like horror movies and video games, because it was right before Halloween. Mm-hmm. And then when I got on Twitter, I'll tell you this, when I got on Twitter, I had like 20 downloads. And within 2 months, within like 2 months, I think I had like 1,500. But awesome. I think just getting it out there and getting it in front of people and just saying, hey, look, I kind of do this as a hobby. I don't try to go for like sponsorships and ads and that kind of stuff. I'm much more as a hobby kind of thing, and also supporting other podcasters. Like I love playing promos for other podcasts, giving shout outs and stuff like that, or having someone on, like if there's a new podcast, trying to retweet them and give them some love, and then saying, hey, if you want to come on, or if you have a promo or whatever, it's fine with me. And
it's so sweet.
I do what I can. Thank you. But I just think that my thing is, I already have a job, thankfully. And I know a lot of people don't, especially after the pandemic. But I have a job and I have a career, and I have a pretty busy, demanding job. So when I do this, when I'm off, like I don't want to be banging my head against the wall and editing for 12 hours. And that ain't happening. No. I edit maybe for 12 minutes, if that, not even that, but
wow. So you do everything for your editing.
Yeah. I don't do that. So, I don't play that. So, I look at it as something fun to do, as a creative outlet, and also as a talking outlet, to kind of verbalize stuff. Like when I talked about like mental health stuff, just being able to say, hey, look, we can talk about these kinds of things. Yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
He's a busy man though. He's always, hey, even though you lost my episode, he lost my episode. Ooh. I did the movie trivia.
This is awkward.
Here's what happened. I spanked butt, and he lost it on purpose because I made everybody look bad. That's why. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And Glenda's a very good supporter too. She's
I
awesome.
love
She
Glenda.
supports me.
She's
Yeah.
great. Do you feel like talking about these issues, like mental health and like news and everything else, like it helps you as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, selfishly, I will say that I podcast for me and I do it for me. And if I make an episode, it's because I'm happy with it and because I like it. And that's not to say that I don't want other people to listen, but I see other podcasts, who will, and obviously since the pandemic, there's been a ton of podcasts pop up over the years, right? And I'm happy to say mine started September 2019, so I had issues before the pandemic started. But there's been
We all do.
a lot of podcasts started, and I mean they're popping up left and right. I mean, you can't swing a dead cat, and I had a podcast now. But I think the one thing is I see people say, like on Twitter, they'll say, "Oh, here's our episode. It's terrible, but we had to put something out." And I want to say, man, don't do that. If you don't like it, don't publish it. Why would you put that out there? So I never wanted to, that's why like having this break, I never want to feel like I have to do it. I want to do it because I want to do it. I want to do it because I get something out of it, because it makes me happy, because it's fun. Like this is fun. It should be fun. It should be easy. It shouldn't be like, oh, gotta go get the pickaxe and back to the coal mine, crank out
Monday.
this episode.
Better come out by 9.
And that's why people have asked me before about doing a Patreon or something. And I was like, I ain't doing that, man. because I do have a buy me a beer though. The buy me a coffee. I made it buy me a beer.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we got one of those.
I don't really heavily advertise it, but it's there. But a good friend of mine told me, give people a choice. Like, don't take the choice away, because if people really like you, they may want to, so I said, okay. So I did the buy me a coffee thing. And just to throw it out there, $1 for a beer, because I was like, hey, the podcast runs on beer, so if you want to buy me a beer, feel free to buy me a beer. But I never wanted to get into, I've had like networks and there's a bunch of stuff going on, and people are in it for different reasons, I think. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, as my original point was, they crank it up during the pandemic because they see it as a get rich quick kind of thing. Either. No, I love you, buddy. You're the man. I just, what? I impressed him though, I think, with my movie knowledge. But
we'll never know, though, will we?
We'll never know.
Ooh, the lost episode.
It's in the anals. It's in the anals of the Vern.
Canals.
There's a lot of stuff in there, probably. Who knows?
That's PG. It's fine.
Hey, anal is a scientific term.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So, who's your most memorable guest?
She's like, let's just keep this going.
What a segue. What a segue. All right. Jesus.
Professional podcaster over here.
Wow.
Most memorable. I don't know. I mean, every guest I've had, I love them dearly, because I wanted them to be on there and they agreed. And I think back a lot to, I think it was the third episode I did, and I had this guy who was an author, and he had hiked the Appalachian Trail several times, over a course of 50 years, right?
So cool.
And yeah, I'm sounding like a shit because I can't remember his name.
He was a good friend.
Hang on a second.
He's the best guy ever.
Man, I talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He had him over last night. We threw horseshoes out in the backyard. Let me see.
Bonfires.
Go
camping together. I even hiked half the trail with him.
Jeffrey Ryan, in your face. Jeffrey Ryan.
Yeah,
but anyway,
okay.
He was a historian author. He was the first guy. He was the first person that I interviewed that I didn't know. He was the first actual guest. We never met. He lives in Maine. Ooh. And it went. I was like, man, this is kind of cool. Okay, so we talked. We had a really good conversation. And then I remember I published it in another podcast called I Like Beer, the podcast. Those guys are really cool. They actually retweeted it and commented on what a great job I did. And that meant a lot to me, because it's like, okay, this is cool. All right. People, didn't hate this. This seems fun,
That's nice.
And then I had this lady named Amanda Webster on who she does fitness and mental health. And she's a suicide attempt survivor. And so that was a really great conversation, and that was cool. And just everybody, honestly, I know that's probably not the best answer, but everybody that I've had on my podcast, and I've also been on a bunch of other podcasts too, by the way.
You have. I'm
have.
scrolling through and you've just been on so many different podcasts. That's awesome. It just tells people a lot about you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And the cool thing about it is I've been on there to talk about all kinds of stuff, like police and race stuff, to just like, Savage Beach on Cinema Recall, talk about a good 80s movie with Uzis and boobies. And then just all kinds of things. I was on all kinds of shows, right? But yeah, I think everybody that I've had on so far, I've really enjoyed, because I had them on for a purpose. Like, I didn't want to just have a guest just to have somebody. I wanted to be able to get something from it. I think so. It's very deliberate. Everything I do has meaning. It's very deliberate. So
that's awesome.
I can definitely see how you can carry a solo show, Rob. I'd be scared to go into a show solo, man. But
I don't care, man. Just let it rip.
You pop the top and just go. I like it,
bro. Just crack the beers and just go.
That's got a story for everything.
It's all up here.
I would be terrified if I had to fill up a show, even just 30 minutes.
It's all up here, man. I
got it.
Talk.
Nice.
I just let it go. And I'll tell you this too: if you're gonna have a guest, like, say if you're gonna have a guest, go and listen or read or see like stuff that they've done before.
Oh yeah,
that's always important.
Absolutely.
And but I had Ariel Dundas. She's a stand-up comedian and she's on Twitter, and we followed each other. And out of the blue, I messaged her and I said, "Hey, do you want to come be on the podcast?" She's like, "Yeah, sure." And I'd seen her tweets and I'd seen some of her stand-up, and I said, "Well, I'll see how this goes." She seems pretty funny, pretty laid back and chill. And so we did an episode, and we didn't talk at all. We set up the date and time, and then she got on there, and we just went. And so that first, we've done 2 episodes, and she's going to come back and do some more. People messaged me and said, "Who wrote the script for that episode?" I said, "I don't write shit, dude. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't write crap, dude." I said, "We just, but that's the thing, though, is like, it's so cool when you kind of click with somebody and you have like a really cool chemistry, and it's easy because we just talked about one thing after another, but stuff like that is a lot of fun, and it's always good to work with people like stand-up comedians and other podcasters too, is always good. So I always look forward to that.
That's awesome.
You should hit up the Dads on Dayquil. They're doing a whole series with having guests on. Yeah. And I was on last week. They're dropping them on Fridays. It's aside from their normal show. So you should hit them up. I don't know if you follow them or heard their podcast.
I do follow. I do follow. Yeah. I like those guys, but don't tell them because they'll get all egomaniacal.
Yeah, I like those guys, huh?
Got to keep it. No, those guys. Yeah.
Those guys don't have ladders in their garage, though. I don't think.
They're not
I don't have a garage.
Oof, burn.
I mean,
my God.
They posted a picture of making a pizza with ham and pineapple on it.
Ugh. No,
I'm like, this cat ain't never climbed a ladder.
Pineapple. That's disgusting. It's just
probably pays a guy to clean his gutters. What a loser.
Yeah, while he drinks beer and watches. That's what I would do.
Pizzas for children. Look, pizzas for children. Someone had a poll up the other day. Who was it? They had a poll. They're saying, what should I eat for dinner, steak or pizza? I said steak.
I don't eat the steak.
You don't eat steak?
I don't eat beef or pork or
good food. What are you talking about? What is this?
What do you eat?
Chicken and fish and vegetables. Oh man, look at that. Sorry, Vern, you're blocked.
Oh God, of course you do. I know you do.
Of course you do. Darn it.
Anyway,
so how do you come up with the content for your shows? Is it depending on your guest and like? Do you...
I don't really have a plan. I don't really do notes. Just kind of whatever happens. I mean, I think with me, when I do a solo show, I do. Yeah, that's true. When I do a solo show, I would like jot a couple things down, maybe that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
When I did one of the biggest episodes that I have is the police racism statues and flags episode, where I talked about the police stuff after George Floyd. And with that, I made some bullet points Like I made some notes just because I didn't want to miss anything.
Mhm.
Because one thing is too, time can get away from you pretty quickly when you're talking or doing your thing. And but I don't have it planned out, too strictly. But I like to keep it loose. And like when I have a guest on, kind of like us three, I think it's cool to keep. It's kind of it's a conversation, but it's kind of loose and it kind of goes in all these directions sometimes, And so that's what I like it. I like for it to be organic when I'm talking to somebody. I like for it to. Someone told me one time. Someone messaged me and said, "I listened to your episode and I felt like I was sitting right there with you. Like I could hear the ice in your glass and I could hear the." And I said, "That's what I want.
Cool.
That's what I want. That's what I'm trying to do." Because the thing I love the most is just to sit and have a drink and talk to somebody and just have a chat, right? And I think, especially with the pandemic, a lot of us have missed that. I know I've missed that,
Absolutely.
And so to me, I like for it to sound organic. That's why I don't do a lot of editing, because I like for it to sound like a natural conversation. I like for it to be, some people I think can over edit too much where it sounds overproduced. I'm not knocking on people who edit. I mean, a lot of people edit. I don't do a lot of it, but that's just kind of what I'm going for. So as far as content's concerned, if there's stuff I feel like I want to talk about, like next week when I'm going to do an episode for the podcast where it's a solo episode. And I'm going to talk about the stuff that happened in DC on January 6th, the insurrection thing. But I have a story from Iraq in 2003 that kind of ties into it. So I'm going to tell a story and talk about that kind of stuff. And then I think people will probably like it. I think people will be interested in it. I'm not going to hammer on about political stuff, but it's more of a personal experience story tied into.
Best.
Yeah, it's like everybody has a good riot control story. So I'm going to tell mine next week.
Where were you in? Were you in Baghdad in 2003? I was in Ramadi. I was just asking.
Oh, look at you! I was. I know I never was not in Baghdad. I was in 2003. I deployed in 2003 and 2005.
Okay.
2003. I was down south. I was in Anna Jeff. And, the Battle of Anna Jeff, as they call it, and then we kind of skipped over Baghdad and went up. We're about an hour and a half south of Mosul is where we went up there. So no stakes. I know.
Look at Kurt from the cloud. Hey, Kurt, go to sleep, man.
Kurt,
you're supposed to.
Because you couldn't be here, bro. What happened?
Oh man,
Kurt, I'm sorry. Bro. I'm sorry I was rude to you in Twitter DMs. Kurt, come back.
He was just talking smack about you earlier.
He was all broke up about it too, man. He would not get over it.
Kurt, I didn't
There were
mean
tears.
I'll mail him an 8x10. That'll make it better.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, in 2003 I did that, and then was up in kind of south about an hour south of Mosul for like the back half of it.
Oh yeah, that's pretty up there.
In 2005 I was in Kirkuk the whole time in 2005. But we also did like Al Halad, Fallujah, and all those really hot vacation.
You were in Fallujah in 2005, were you? That was.
Yeah, we did QRF there. We did QRF.
Okay. Yeah, I had a buddy in the Marines there with that whole Battle of Fallujah. That was rough.
Yeah. For those who don't know, QRF is Quick Reaction Force. Those people that may not know that.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, where were you?
Sorry, I don't want to get off sharing war stories or anything.
No, we will. No, you and I can take this and just go.
Yeah, I'll leave and you guys can just hang out.
Because we went over in 2003 with Third ID for the invasion, but that was over pretty quick. So they were looking for people to go to Afghanistan after a few months. And I was like, I mean, I don't know, I'm already over here,
True.
20. I'm 20. I just turned 21 years old. So, like, let's go.
Wow.
So we went to Afghanistan and then for the rest of our time. But
I was like 21 or 22-ish, I think.
Yeah.
When I went. What branch were you in?
Army.
Oh, me too. I was in the Army. No joke.
That's 97 Bravo counterintelligence.
I was 11 Bravo. Infantry.
Oh, bullet stopper. 11 bullet stopper.
Okay. That's right.
Bromance happening.
Sorry.
Go on.
Don't let these war dogs hijack the live stream.
My father was in the military. He was in the Air Force, and I grew up in Okinawa and continued.
Wait, you said Air Force? No, I'll let it slide. It's okay.
I know, it's not my choice. Well, we grew up on military bases most of my life.
Are you saying he retired on a golf course?
Right.
Yeah, he did actually. He's a total jerk, but we don't talk to him.
Well,
okay.
Where were you? What unit were you with?
82nd.
82nd. Okay, I was 101st.
Nice. I went to Rappel School. I was in Fort Campbell. I had
Good times.
air assault, airborne. I listened to my
assault.
recruiter. He was like, "Hey, you want to make some extra money every month? Go jump out of airplanes." I was like, "All right, cool." You know?
Yeah, that's what I did. I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
I did infantry training at Fort Benning, and then I did jump school at Fort Benning. We went to airborne school,
Ooh.
and then went
Yeah.
home for a week, and then went to Fort Campbell, and then probably within like 2 months, I was in air assault school, and then did that,
That's awesome.
and then went to Iraq for the first time. So
There you go.
good times, great oldies.
Shannon Holmes right in front of my face. It's really
There you
good.
go. Thanks, man. That was a lot of fun. Shannon was really cool. She has a great podcast called Right in Front of My Face. She loves shout outs too, so there you go. She gets hers. And we had a really great conversation. We've always kind of been in conversation back and forth, and then we did an episode together, and I talked about some military stuff and some police stuff. Podcast goals, I think, honestly, is to be able to do it more regularly, and work with people that I want to work with, and just kind of see where it goes. I think that most people use podcasting as some sort of creative outlet. I think most people really enjoy it, and I like those people. I always try to seek out the people who are very genuine, because I think a lot of people do podcasting and they try to put on a character, or they try to out geek each other. They have like all their Funko Pops in the background. I got a ladder back here. They got,
It's pretty awesome.
it just kind of people, that stuff, I'm not really into that kind of thing. I think people should be genuine and be real and talk about what you want, and
yeah, the people more honest. Ugh, oh my gosh, this wine's getting to me. Honest about things going on in their lives, like especially like mental health is important, is a big one for me. And like rehab is real, addictions are real, and like I recently had to deal with that with a family member, and it was just so hard. And if I didn't have someone to talk to about that, like I would just be a mess right now. So
yeah, I saw your tweet on that too. Good job.
Yeah, I got a message from my cousin and the guy that helped me get him to rehab, saying that they're doing really well. And she emailed back, she called him and said that we're the only reason she's alive right now. And I just like, I just did it because I love you. And I would literally drop everything and drive someone to rehab, even if I did not know them. Like that's what's going to happen. Okay, I'm not going to. You do your war. We'll have war stories or different kind of wars that we have with ourselves.
Hey, everybody fights their own battles.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I wish
for sure.
Where people would share it so that communication would be open and less stigma on things. And it's just.
I agree with that.
Yeah, and to Rob's point, I think it's really important for prior, service members to be able to talk about that stuff, because there is a little bit of a stigma when you're in the, don't talk about those types of things. And, when somebody sees somebody that, went through it and said, hey, it's okay to say when you came back, you were changed, you're different. And to talk about those things, because it empowers other people, I think, to do that. There's things that I saw and was a part of that, were hard to talk about, but, coming back home and talking to other people that went through that is very empowering for that kind of thing. So I appreciate you doing that, Rob. That's the good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you both for your service.
I think too, one thing is, especially being infantry, there's a real, like, there's a mindset of, if you're sucking, the guy next to you is sucking twice as bad. So keep your mouth shut, keep your head down, and move forward, right? Always. And I remember when we got back, they gave us this little survey, and everybody's like, check, get me out of here, right?
Exactly.
And what I noticed was, it's not really at the time when you start having problems. It's like 5 years down the road, right? Yep. When you really start having problems, 5, 7, 8, 10 years down the road, where you talk to a buddy and he says, hey, you ever have any nightmares? And I am like, yeah. And then that's like a breakthrough. That's like, oh my God, man. Cause blah, 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 I've had buddies call me at 3 a.m, because they've had a nightmare,
That's awesome.
And a big turning point for me was, I feel like people look at people, especially veterans, right? as people who are tough, who are not afraid of things and things like that, right? And I think, well, if I'm able to say openly, I have PTSD, I have clinical depression, I have nightmares, I have issues with this stuff, then maybe someone who hasn't been in the military will feel better about talking about it, because I think people don't want to be looked at differently. That was one thing I was afraid of.
Oh, absolutely. And
I'm like,
people
I don't-
do, like,
right.
they will
can
look
say,
at you differently at some points, but
because-
it's
yeah. And I'm like, I don't really want that. I don't want to be treated differently. When I got out of the military, I went straight into police work, and I was a police officer for 9 years. So then I saw and was a part of a bunch of more crap that's
how do you decompress from like war and you go to such an intense field?
Yeah, I would say a lot of crying in the shower, probably.
Yeah, you absolutely, like 5 years later, you're going to start feeling it. And it's nice to know that like you're not alone in that too.
And you get a lot of guilt. You get a lot of survivor's guilt as part of it, because I have friends of mine who didn't make it, unfortunately. And not only over there, but after we got back. Because the problem is you get back and you like, okay, everybody's safe. Everybody's okay. We made it back. And then you hear Andrew committed suicide, right? Which happened 3 years ago. It was November 3 years ago. A good friend of mine committed suicide, who we were in Iraq with together in 2005. And me and about 20 other guys all got together and drove to Columbus, Ohio for his funeral. And probably up until that point, I never went to the VA for anything, because I felt guilty, because there were so many guys who lost limbs, who got like burned and injured. And I'm like, man, I don't want to go, I don't really deserve.
No, mental health is just as important as physical.
But that was a turning point.
I get where he's coming from, though. You get these guys that have they claim hearing loss so they can get 20% or something. It's like, like, come on, man.
Yeah, I tell my wife I can't hear her all the time. She doesn't know anything. But but I mean, I'm not trying to drag everybody down, but talking about that stuff I think is important, because it becomes this idea that everybody has their own battles, like we said before. You don't have to go to war to get PTSD. You don't have to go to war to have problems and issues. And maybe not everybody who deployed may not have any issues, depending on what you were doing when you were there too. I mean, that's also another thing when it comes to military stuff. But I went to the VA after that. Actually, I filed my papers and went to the VA after that. And because it's just such a foolish thing to not be able to say. It takes more strength to be able to say I have a problem and I need help, than to say, oh, I'm good, man, I'm a badass, so I don't need this kind of stuff. So that stuff's important, and that plays into the podcast a lot. I think being able to open up and talk about that kind of stuff, as you asked earlier, it does help me to be able to talk about it, and to be able to just kind of get stuff off your chest sometimes.
Yeah, when you say things out loud, it just in your mind, you're just
it's real.
It's different.
I think once you actually say it out loud, it's real. It makes it more real.
Yeah, it's cathartic for sure.
You seek some clarity when you say it out loud, because then you hear it and you're like, okay, yeah. And then once you say it, you're like, okay, I said it. I'm okay that I said it. It's cool. We can roll from there. And so yeah, I don't know if that answered the question or not, but there it is.
It was great. Oh my gosh. No, this is perfect. I'm so glad that Tom, you're on this episode, because you both are in the military, and I am like a huge advocate for mental health and like PTSD and depression and anxiety. Like, I wasn't able to go to the grocery store for a long time because like I would just have severe panic attacks, and
I don't like crowded
it's
places.
tough for me to be in a crowded area. Like, I walk in somewhere and I'm already looking for like an exit and stuff too, especially if it's
and I'm like analyzing everybody and seeing like the worst case scenario. Like, what my father's in the military, so we adapt, overcome, and kick butt is what we were raised on. So I was always ready for whatever went down.
My wife and I were going to go somewhere last summer. We were going to just run to the store or something, and I had on some flip flops, and I said, "Wait, I got to put on socks and shoes." She says, "Why?" I said, you can't run in flip flops. These aren't very tactical. This is a nightmare. She's like, what? She's like, whatever. But it's hard, when I drive down the street and I see just like a McDonald's bag, I swerve because there's a little piece in my mind that says anything in the road may explode,
Yeah.
And it sounds dumb, probably.
No,
to a
I
lot of
mean,
people.
dude, when I came back from Afghanistan, I wouldn't walk in the grass for a long time.
Yeah,
because of the landmines. We didn't know. I mean,
it's kind of crazy, right? And I remember when I was a cop, I would come home to my apartment, and sometimes for some reason I'd have this sense of dread, and I would actually go into my apartment with my weapon drawn, and I would clear it. I'd go into every room, every closet, behind the shower curtain, because I couldn't rest until I felt that way. And it's just such a wacky thing sometimes to think about, but I guess, part of the podcasting is to be able to talk about it and to be able to maybe people listen, even if they don't comment or say anything. If someone just hears it and maybe it maybe helps them out or something, I think that's probably the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely. And be able to relate to that. I mean, it sucks that people have to go through things like that, but it also makes you, stronger, but it's your own personal battle. Yep. But getting that out there and talking about it just makes it easier for other people to do it as well. And that helps them a little bit too.
Yeah, it does. And be able to deal with it in a healthy way.
Yes.
Is hard, especially like I said, in the pandemic, because a good buddy of mine, I'm not going to call his name, but a good Army buddy of mine, one thing that helped him was socializing, going out to bars and hanging out with friends and socializing. And then all of a sudden that's taken away, and so that can be very rough for people, because a lot of times some people don't want to be around people. Sometimes that socialization is therapy. That's what they need. They need other people. They need to be, because when they're by themselves, it's when they start thinking all the stuff they shouldn't think about, so that stuff kind of gets very, and so I try to, it's a weird balance, because when I do a podcast episode, I'm like, well, I don't want to bum people out, but I also want to talk about this. But I don't want to depress people. It's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of a, it's kind of a balance, I think.
A nice balance. When I was growing up, like my mom would always say, well, if you don't laugh about it, you're going to cry about it. So, get through it, you're going to laugh about it later. Maybe not.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hello, Miss Beautiful Vanessa Owens. That's the most beautiful woman in the world right there. Her name's Vanessa. She lives in Arizona.
What want to have the Brianessa podcast?
Shooting the shite.
Shooting the SH*T.
Exclamation point.
Keep it PG, Brie. Okay.
Yeah, come on, Rob. You had one job.
I'm sorry. I've never said a curse word in my life. That was the first time.
Me neither.
You bring it out of me.
Thank you.
That wine. What are you drinking? Some Riesling?
I don't know. I just
Chardonnay.
Chardonnay. Yeah, it's
I can't do Chardonnay. I tried drinking Chardonnay one time because I was like, I really want to drink, and I took like one sip. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna go to bed.
It's not that critical, right?
It was like a mouthful of dirt. It was so dry. Was like,
oh my god! Oh my god! It's probably a dry wine.
I heard Alanis Morissette sing about it. I thought it might be good.
About dry wine.
Flying a Chardonnay. Isn't it ironic? That kind of thing.
Man, good stuff. It was good times.
What else you got for me? Come on. Let's do it.
All right. Tom, number 5. Let's do
number
this.
5? Oh, this is me?
We're making money here. We're doing it, baby. Or I can just talk if you want. It doesn't matter.
I mean, we see that, but let's try some questions. Are there subjects you think are more important to address or talk about? Subject to stay away from?
I don't think you should stay away from any subject, really. And I know that's hard to do in these days, because when people disagree with you, people don't know how to disagree anymore. It's just it's kind of sad, I think. And I have a lot to say because I haven't done this in 5 months. So you got to keep that in mind. I've been edging for 5 months, man. What do you mean? That's a scientific term.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Anyway,
I'm just here for the wine.
Just gonna Google that.
honestly, I don't think so. And that's why when people say, "What's your podcast about?" and I say, "Well, it's about, I mean, anything really." You know, I mean, I have a lot of interest. I play guitar. I love movies and books and, excuse me, video games, sports. You know, eating steak.
Ladders.
Tofu.
Tofu.
I'm just kidding. Go on. That's off limits, right? Tofu.
What is tofu, by the way?
Soybeans, right?
Is it?
Soybeans, I think.
Yeah.
I had some fried tofu one time.
Yum.
Yeah, they do a lot of different stuff with it.
I had some fried tofu and I dipped it in 57 sauce.
There you go.
Well, it does take on the flavor of whatever it's
Doesn't
cooked
that
with.
taste like 57 sauce? Yeah,
Yeah, because it doesn't taste like
dip it in some steak.
it's like eating a packing peanut. It's weird.
Ooh.
I've never done that, by the way.
Have you? Styrofoam? It's delicacy.
Anyway, I'm trying to answer the question. If you don't mind. Tom, I will tell you, I don't think there's any topic that should be off limits. I think people should be able to say and talk about whatever they want. If you put forth the effort to make a podcast, you should be able to talk about whatever you want. And yes, see,
agreed.
Going on.
Perfect, beautiful,
You should be able
and
to
smart.
say whatever you want. Talk about whatever you want. You should be able to ask questions. You should be able to say, "Hey, wait a minute. Let's think about this for a second. Let's talk about this." You know, the worst thing you can do as a podcaster, not that I'm an expert, is be worried about what other people may think. To be quite honest with you, talk about what you want to talk about, because if you're excited about it, people pick that up. If you're energetic about it, people pick that up. You know,
Agreed.
I could talk about. I used to work at a brick factory. I could talk about making bricks, but nobody wants to give a shit about that, and I don't either. So I'm not going to talk about it.
I don't know. It's coming back now
I'm
because
interested in it. Yeah.
it's soothing the cement and then just like layering.
Well, it's making bricks. It's like actually making bricks.
Like
It's
in the
kind of
sun?
weird. Yeah, I was making $5.25 an hour. That's why I said, "Screw this! I'm joining the army."
Yeah. Oh, so cool. My first job was $4 an hour and 3% commission.
This was what was
Big
it?
time.
This was in 2000 when I was doing that, right after high school. But I don't think there's any subject you should shy away from. You know, I think you should be able to say your opinion. People will unfollow you or block you or whatever, and just get over it. I got blocked the other day by some lady, and I was like, "Man, I haven't tweeted in 3 days." You know, yeah. Don't try to convert the masses. No,
Yeah.
Talk about what you want to talk about. Have fun with it and enjoy it. That's the thing. You can't, because if you, as I was told when I was growing up, if you try to please everybody, the only person you won't please is you. And and you should be able to talk about what you want. If you want to have a podcast where you talk about Royal Rumble in 1992, that Ric Flair won, by the way, woo, then you should talk about that. You want to talk about Batman, talk about beers, talk about Atlanta Braves, talk about whatever you want to talk about. Just do it. Just do it. People either listen or they don't. And you know, focus more on what you put out and not what comes back. That's some really good advice that I received before. And it makes a lot of sense, because I did a Memorial Day episode where I tried to appease people, and I hated it. I hate that episode. It's still up there if anybody wants to listen. But I did this thing where I said, okay, I'm going to make a tweet and I'm going to say, what's everybody's favorite military movie, book, video game, or whatever? Drop a comment and I'll talk about it. It's like 72 comments.
Oh my God.
And so it was literally me saying, okay, you know, so-and-so, Saving Private Ryan, thanks. So-and-so, Top Gun, thanks. So-and-so, Rambo, thanks. Right?
Oh my God.
But I had some things I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have enough time to get around to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And so I published it, but I said, you know what, this is going to be a learning point for me. I'm never doing this again. You know, it's not going to happen. I'm never doing this again, because I didn't get to do, it's my podcast. I should do what I want, not what other people want. And so, of course, if you say shout out, like you have all these people just like commenting, right? You've never even heard of these people before. You know, it's like, you know, it's just kind of a weird thing. And so that was a real lesson learned for me, was that I should have just talked about what I wanted to talk about. You know, not what everybody else wanted, because everybody's going to comment, of course, and that's fine. And I did appreciate the comments, but most of those people that commented are people, like there was people out that we don't even follow each other. They were like, hey, you know, they were just throwing stuff out there, and they're like, "Here's my cash app." And I'm like, get the hell out of here, man! Nobody cares about your cash app.
Cash App.
Get a job,
Venmo.
clown. Yeah,
Oh,
it's like at Kush Lover 420. He's like, Rambo
69.
Rambo 69. Bree, hey, do you still have my email address that I gave you guys?
yes.
Caucasian Candy 420. You still got that at Yahoo?
I do. Like that one and the other one, it was like something weird. Like I can't say it online on here.
All the good ones are taken. I can't help it.
All the good ones.
But anyway, yeah.
Awesome.
Just talk about what you want. Just go with it. Have fun with it and enjoy it. If
Own it.
If you don't enjoy it, you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. Very wise advice from Rob today. We appreciate it. You're talking about your microphone. So you do the editing and social media. Don't you hate social media like Twitter?
Yeah.
How do you promote your show, Rob? You just
I don't
let it promote itself?
Smoke signal.
Here's what I do.
Yeah.
And here's what I started doing when I was first on Twitter. I would follow a podcast. I would retweet their pinned tweet, and they would follow me back. And then when I posted a tweet, they would retweet that too. Because to be supported, you have to support other people. That's just the way it is in the podcast Twitter community. And if you don't support me, don't retweet my shit, I'm just going to unfollow you. So you can just, get out of here. But luckily, I have kind of cultivated a really cool group of people that usually support me and I support them, right? Like Cinema Recall and like you guys and like Right in Front of My Face and like I Think We Did It podcast and Chris and Christine and just a bunch of different people, right? And so that's kind of what I do because I always feel kind of shysty, like, hey, listen to my podcast. Hey, everybody, here we're here. Hey, woo, I always felt kind of weird doing that. So I'd make a tweet. I'd pin the tweet. Always pin your latest episode as your pin tweet, people. I don't know why people don't do that, but please do that because it makes it easier when people can find it, right? And then if you look at the stuff I retweet episodes from a bunch of people, right? Because I listen to it and I like it and I'll support them, Nice. I may not, and now here's the thing.
Ooh.
I don't always agree with what they say, but that's okay. I still support them and I like the stuff they make. People can't get over that, but I do.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with everybody.
You don't have to agree with everybody all the time. No. But yeah, I do have a kind of a love-hate relationship with Twitter. Like I saw today, they neutered Mr. Potato Head. That's a very sad. They removed his tater tots. So gotta hate that. But I'm in two really good retweet groups on Twitter that are very supportive. And one of them I've been in for quite a while, actually. So you kind of...
He's so sweet.
Yeah, see? We always help each other out. But exactly, with the pineapple on the pizza, we're still cool,
Are you?
What?
I'm sorry. Go on. I'm sorry.
She's still struggling.
I was a wine declarative right there. No, but that's how I do it. I tweet it. That's all I have. I don't have Instagram or none other crap. I just put it on Twitter. And but I also think it's important because I genuinely like, and I will message people and I'll say, hey, I just listened to this episode. It's really cool. Good job. Or like on YouTube, there's a lot of podcasters now that have YouTube stuff, and I'll comment on YouTube, and like it and say, hey, this was really good. Good job, or something like that, But it's because I actually watched it and I listened to it, And it's hard to do because you want to support everybody. You want to listen to everybody. You want to watch everybody. It's hard to do because there's only so much time in a day. But yeah.
I think I like I don't think that there's ever going to be enough podcasts in the world. I said it. I feel like people are taking time to create their podcast and edit it and put it out there. And it's just awesome. I wish I can listen to all the podcasts out there because if they have their own personal opinions, ideas, and styles, and I think it is freaking awesome. And that's how I found the Half Hour Bros. I was on Twitter one day and I saw them. I was like, okay, they're pretty funny. And they like engaged like on Twitter and they're, communicated and they're real people. And that's what turned me on to their show. And now they're part of the club, and like I talked to Kurt a lot, and he needed help doing a link tree, and I was like, dude, I got it. Let me help you.
No, he was so excited when you did that for him the other day. It's really nice. We appreciate it. Yeah,
Link tree's nice.
We're like Rob. We did the buy me a beer since we do beer reviews and stuff. So
there you go.
Yes,
keeping it real.
No, like, we're not gonna drink coffee. We just want the beer.
I drink coffee all the time, but beer is better.
Black coffee.
Hey, never had a sip of coffee in my life. How about that? And I was in the military, so Rob will understand how crazy that is.
That is nuts. That rivals my father-in-law was a police chief for like 45 years.
Wow.
Never drank coffee.
With a tea.
Are you? Yeah, he drank tea.
There you go.
I said, "Are you serious? You never drank coffee?" He's like, "Don't like the smell of it." I said, "Okay."
See, now what's crazy is I love the smell of coffee and the coffee beans and everything. I think that smells really good, but I've just done this long, with like 38 years without having any coffee. So at this point, I might as well just keep it going.
I drink coffee all day, and then after dinner I switch to alcohol. That's my plan.
There you go. See,
this is how you do it.
It's healthy.
Coffee brewed beer, is that a thing? It's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had some good coffee stouts. I love a good stout. And
there's like an espresso one too I had before. That was pretty interesting.
PBR made one. They made a coffee beer.
Wow. Maybe I should try that.
It's just kind of weird. It's like a poop brown can. It's kind of very odd.
It's already PBR. It doesn't need to be in a brown can.
Oh god.
What's Natty Light going to come out with one next or something?
I hope so.
Can't let PBR get the leg up on him.
Natty Light. Oh my goodness. Where I'm from, we call it Carolina currency because natural light is so popular. I'm from Southeast Virginia originally, and I grew up in North Carolina as well.
Yay!
And so when you get into North Carolina, you'll see these big billboards says natural light now on tap. Like it's real popular. So people call it Carolina currency. Just PBR. All boys at PBR. You're talking now.
That's why we're best friends. What's the biggest challenge you feel like you faced when it comes to podcasting?
I think maybe trying to figure out what the podcast actually is. I think, it started, I had an idea at first, but I didn't really fully adapt that idea, I think, until a little later after I did several episodes, which happens,
Yeah.
But I think that just understanding, like I said, that Memorial Day episode, like understanding, I need to talk about what I want to talk about because this is something I'm doing for me mainly, because I think that should be the main priority. And it should be easy and fun. I mean, that's the thing about it. It shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be a frustrating thing. It should be like when you get done, you should be like, oh man, that was great. I love that. Like this, I've been looking forward to this all week, and that's how it should be. You should be excited about it. You should feel good about it. You shouldn't have to feel like you're dragging yourself off to do something. And I think, but that can be a challenge with life. I mean, with family life and work and kids and all that kind of stuff, I usually record after my daughter goes to bed. And also, I've been working from home this whole time, and she's usually with me throughout the day as I work, because my wife goes to her office and has to work.
Oh my goodness!
A lot of times, by the time she goes to bed, I'm done.
Yeah. Kids are exhausting.
Mentally, I'm just kind of done, because I think when you podcast, you have to have your energy has to be right. You have to be in that vibe, kind of thing. And so I think that's also a challenge too, a little bit. But I love podcasting, and I love doing it. I love talking to people. I love doing this, what we're doing now. This is fantastic. I could sit here, and you won't be surprised, I could just do this all night. Like I wouldn't get tired. I wouldn't blink. I wouldn't flinch.
I would breathe.
I believe this.
I can do it all night. And but it's just a lot of fun, and I think it's cool. And I think people have to remember it's fun, and I think what happened is Twitter definitely changed over the summer for me. Because when I first got on Twitter back in early May, everybody was just kind of doing their podcast and doing their thing, right? And then we had a whole summer of protests and riots. And then we had, of course, with COVID, got worse. And there's a lot of really negative stuff going on. And I think that really put a wet blanket on a lot of stuff. And especially when it comes down to podcasting.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked the fun out of a lot of stuff, So I hope collectively, I'm talking to everybody, we can get together and make stuff fun again, and there's a lot of podcasts, obviously they kept doing their thing. But it got very difficult because, like, when you were talking about stuff you should talk about or stuff you should avoid, there's a lot of times you see a lot of line drawing, right? It's like, well, if you don't support this, then I can't support you, and this is over, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I almost said a real bad word there, but I won't. But it's so stupid that we can't. It's okay to disagree. I mean, like this Gina Carano Star Wars thing, like people are just losing their minds over it, and it's like, hey, it's okay. We can disagree and move on. It's fine. Everybody has their own opinion.
Absolutely, and that's what's beautiful.
I would actually like to have people on that disagree with me because I like having good debate and good discourse, right? That's good. That's healthy. It's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be shutting people out.
Having a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's important. I mean, podcasting is conversation. So why not have it? And why not grab something that generates it and say, hey, who wants to come on here and debate this with me? Or whatever the case may be.
I love that podcast is conversation.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
it is.
So
I've also said it's verbal masturbation, which is also pretty
interesting.
Hey, masturbation's a scientific term.
Oh my God, this is PG. So
that's PG. That's PG. God. That's more of a solo episode, though.
But I feel like the podcast community is like an awesome community to be a part of because everyone's so open and encouraging. Like Chris Revel was having burnout for a while, and then like the Vern came and he was like, hey man, it's okay. And like they started talking, and then like he never quit podcasting, and like everyone's so nice. Like I love the podcast.
I was thinking about today. I was like, I should not have taken a break because people need me to podcast. That's how I feel.
Like I was looking for you. Like, where is he? Where's that Rob?
Egotistical way. I'm not a very egotistical person. Matter of fact, people ask me about the name. You didn't ask me about the name of the podcast or why I picked that.
That was my first question. You must not remember because of the step.
Did you say? You didn't say why? Why'd you name it?
So why'd you name it? Fat, Drunk, and Stupid Podcast. Why don't you throw in lazy? I'm just kidding. Because you mentioned it earlier.
I wanted to keep it down to 3 words. It's hard to search lazy.
A lot comes up.
Fat, Drunk, and Stupid is it's a way to describe myself in a very derogatory way. It's a very that's how I see myself. No matter how many weights I lift or how much I run, I'm still the fat kid.
How many ladders you climb?
Or how many ladders I climb. I'm no matter how many times I say, hey, I'm just going to drink on the weekends, I'm still a drunk. And no matter how many books I read, how smart I get, I always view myself as stupid. And so I kind of put that out there. But I also thought it was going to be unique and people would remember it, hopefully. What's funny is when I first did that, I searched, you can search for it. And there was a podcast called Fat, Drunk, and Pregnant.
And I gotta go check that out now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Fat, Drunk, and Pregnant. I just was like, oh my goodness, this chick's got some issues. Language police. I know she's the worst one.
I know, but we're not.
I mean, your own podcast is vulgar. The name of it is very vulgar.
That was Vanessa who named it. Okay,
you can't blame her. Come on.
I do.
But anyway, so I just thought it would be a kind of a play on words, but. It also means like to me it means that it means like being content, like fat and happy, kind of stuff. And I didn't want to paint myself in a corner. Like guitars and beers with Rob, and then we talk about something that's not guitars and beers, right? So that would be weird. So and people like it, and people have asked me, they're like, which one are you, fat, drunk, or stupid? And I'm like, well, I'm all 3. So be the best. They think it's 3 people. People are so stupid. I think it's 3 people. I'm like, get out of here with this. But it's just kind of one of those things. I think it's like naming a kid. You're stuck with it for life. You got to make it a good one.
Right, and you have to like try to sound it out and make sure like something stupid doesn't rhyme with it. Like That's why I named my son Landon, because you can't like
Like
rhyme
Michael,
that with like Brianna Banana.
so like
I hate
Michael
it.
Landon, like from Highway to Heaven. Is that where you got his name from?
I named him from.
Lost on the Prairie.
Thank you, Vanessa. You're
Oh
wonderful.
my god! Robert thinks it's after a soccer star, but it's from a book that I read from Annalisa Grant. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
That's it?
Do you want to? I mean, Tom, you get.
I mean, I'm having fun.
I mean, tomorrow's Friday, so that's
Is
the
it
weekend.
Friday? Oh my god! Wow. Was there anything that you would like to mention, either one of you, or talk about? Is there a topic that is just burning your brain?
I will say if you use DoorDash or Instacart, tip those people.
Absolutely.
Big
I
time.
always extra
Don't be a
tip.
jerk. Tip those people. Those people keeping the country going, keep everybody fed and supplied.
Pizza driver gets a good tip every time.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a 30-year podcast, Rob. I mean, the fat part. So, I mean, you got to make sure those people are taken care of.
Hell yeah. And
Yeah.
the Instacart people bring me Sam's Club beer and cereal. So I tip those people very heavily.
Oh, and Go
Let's
Puff,
go.
they bring you snacks and like ice cream to your door and wine.
No joke.
We don't have that. We don't have that in Georgia yet. We can't do the alcohol delivery. So
Oh, they do it here in
Oh
Missouri.
man, yeah, they do it here in Virginia.
We get Instacart and we do Aldi. We have Sam's Club
Sam's.
and something else I can't remember what we do. But yeah, they bring beer and wine all the time. So I'm on a first name basis with all those people.
Right? It's embarrassing. It's like, hey man.
I don't care.
same
I'm like,
time tomorrow.
just bring it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
even at restaurants, like I always tip at minimum 25%. Like I have to.
I tip all the time, and I mean it's important. Those people are doing their thing, and people remember that too. Like when they bring your stuff again, they remember that kind of stuff,
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But we appreciate those people, and
Yeah.
we actually used them because they came. I live here in Joplin, Missouri, and it started before the pandemic started. They had like DoorDash and Instacart and stuff like that, and so we started using it because we both work, and it's
Makes
like
life easier.
people can just bring it here. That's much much easier than collecting up a kid and going to the store. That kind
Oh
of
my
stuff.
gosh. And then mom, I want this, I want this. It's like, no. Like I do the Walmart delivery with the grocery and it's just so nice. Like, hey, I want this bubble water and all this stuff. And I don't have to fight my children in a cart and chase them down.
Before that, I would go to Sam's Club do the pickup, and that's the worst. Like you have all these women in like giant SUVs with the Karen haircut, like they're all lined up, like it's the Daytona 500, and it's just a nightmare, So yeah, I'll throw that out there too. Tip those people. That's not really podcast related, but it's important. I think it's a life thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we went to commissaries in Japan, like all these ladies would like bag your groceries and beg to take them to your car so that you can tip them. And so I'm always like, "Here's your tip," and people are looking at me like when I do pickups, they're like, "You're not supposed to tip me," and I'm like, "Are you sure?"
You should tip. You should tip, man.
Yeah. Aw, the driving, absolutely, and be a good human. Just...
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, it tells you a lot about somebody with how they tip or don't tip. I'll tell you that.
Well, I can tell you the other night we had food delivered, and we tipped $25 from the bring it.
Aww.
Look, I know that a lot of people aren't in a position to tip a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, we can, but I see it as supporting local people who are working and doing their thing. Right? That's the way I see it. So, it's very helpful. But yeah,
and shop local. Like
yes.
we have a downtown here, small business owners, minority owners, and it's so important to go. And
what's up in Charlottesville? What's going on in Charlottesville now?
Oh my God. Most people are wearing masks and doing good things, and not a lot of people are going downtown. They're kind of afraid, and we're trying to work with the Downtown Association to bring more people downtown to shop local because so many businesses and so many friends that I have made have just gone out of business, and it's sad. So we've been working on, I help manage their social media and website for downtowncharlottesville.com. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to get people downtown, get into the scene, do a lot of virtual things. Like the Paramount Theater had a virtual cooking event. It was live. So we had a local chef make food and talk about it. And there's a local musician, and Charlottesville was all about local, ride your bikes and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to ride a bike, but other people do, and that's important.
Charlottesville also is a college town, so you have to stop at crosswalks because there's somebody's going to be walking across.
They will walk in front of you. They don't care. And then you'll get in trouble if you run them over.
Oh, yeah. Where are you at, Tom, in the world? Where are you?
Middle Georgia. I'm just a little south of Macon.
Oh, nice.
People know where Macon is. If I tell them Warner Robins, they're like, looking like, I don't know, dude.
I know where Robins, Georgia is.
Most people know Macon because they rode through there on 75 on their way through Georgia.
Yeah. I've heard of Macon. I've heard of Robbins too because I grew up watching a lot of WCW wrestling. So some of those guys were from Robbins or lived in Robbins. So I know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Is it like a small town?
Is it?
Is it? Is it a small town, Tom?
Yes. Yeah. It's like, I mean, we have an Air Force base here, Robbins Air Force Base, but that's basically it. If it wasn't for that and maybe a couple other employers, I'm not sure anybody would live out here. But yeah, it's country.
Love it.
Peanuts and peaches and pecans and
there you go.
Corn and all that.
I love corn.
You say pecan, I say pecan.
I say pecan.
There's like what 4 different ways to say that: pecan, pecan.
Yeah, people where I'm from say pecan.
Pecan. I say pecan.
But we always talk about Breeze in Charlottesville, and I grew up in Emporia, Virginia, which is like 2 hours from Charlottesville.
So close! Oh my gosh!
And born and raised there, and I also my parents split up when I was 2, so I grew up in North Carolina, same with my mom. But I started going to UVA football games when I was about 12 because a good friend of mine, his sister, got accepted to UVA, and her parents bought like season tickets and all this kind of stuff. So I started going to football games with them.
So fun.
And that was my first Charlottesville experience. And actually, when I proposed to my wife, we did it at Crabtree Falls.
Oh, it's so pretty. That's what the waterfall. Yeah.
Look at this guy. I proposed atop a waterfall. So beat that, Tom. In your face.
I just can't do that.
Actually, what was funny is that we were walking up there.
I proposed it at Denny's.
Did you almost pass out? You're like,
I should have done that because it was like drizzling rain. It was like a 3-mile like switchback trail. My wife is like, "What are we doing?" And I'm like,
that just adds to the story, though.
We're almost there, you know. I had like my boots on and like a backpack, and I had the ring in my pocket. And she's like, "Is there a Buffalo Wild Wings up there?" And I'm like, "No."
That's when you knew she was the one.
Yeah, but we got B-dubs. But we got there and it worked out. But yeah, she's always loved Charlottesville. I've always loved it. And so yeah, I proposed. I went to Charlottesville for the weekend. And I was like, let's see Crabtree Falls, you know. But yeah, Charlottesville has always been really cool, and I've always liked it.
It's like, you come back, I'll buy y'all beer.
No, I do miss it because one of my favorite beers is the 8-point IPA from Brokeback. Is it Brokeback? I think no,
it's not Brokeback. That's a movie.
What's it called? Not Brokeback. That's the other movie.
It's Blue Mountain Brewery. We have so many breweries and wineries here. It's amazing. We're not all alcoholics.
Most people are, though.
You're gonna Google it, aren't you?
Hey, I'm just a drunk. I don't go to meetings. They also have a Vienna Lager. That's good. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Vienna Lager.
The
Blue.
Hang on a second.
Brokeback. That's
I can't believe I said Brokeback. See you for supper.
Hey, not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, Devil's Backbone.
Devil's Backbone. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a brewery out here.
I love that beer. I love the 8-point IPA and the Vienna Lager is so good. And yeah, so we can't wait. I can't wait to get back there to just, you know, it's been probably 5 years or so since we went back to Virginia, I think 5 or 6 years.
They have a Citizen Burger downtown, and they have turkey burgers too, and beet burgers, but those are gross. And they have some good beers there. Most of the stuff downtown is local.
Are you talking about the Citizen Burger like it's down on the mall?
Citizen Burger Bar.
Yeah, we went there the night before I proposed to her, and here's the thing: my wife doesn't eat red meat, and I took her to Citizen Burger.
Wow.
Yeah, and she had a fried pickle, and she burned her mouth on it, and she was like, terrible. I'm like, oh God. Then I started thinking about, well, I could return the ring, I guess. I don't really know what.
Gonna have to.
Somebody help me, Jesus. Yeah. So, Yeah, that was a good times, but it panned out. Thankfully, it worked out. But yeah, Charlottesville's really cool. I love going there. It's so
It's
much fun.
beautiful. It's like a small, big town. Like everybody knows everybody. Everything's real close together, and it's
Mm.
just,
Yeah,
it's nice.
it is. It's really nice. I miss some aspects of Virginia. My hometown's kind of a shithole, but I mean, I'm sorry. My hometown's kind of a economically adverse
Beep.
area. But Virginia's great. The beach and the mountains in Virginia is fantastic. That's always
We have everything.
I always tell people the in between's not too great, but both ends of it are really, really nice. You can take either end and be okay with it.
A
But
couple weeks ago, we went to a cabin in Amherst, Virginia, and there's like a stream, a fire pit, and just all these mountains. There was no cell reception at all.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, that stuff like that is great. I miss that kind of thing because here I live in Joplin, so it's like Southwest Missouri, but it is cool because we're close to we're only 8 miles from Oklahoma. We're only like 20 minutes from Arkansas, like 5 miles.
Wow.
5 miles from Kansas, when nobody wants to go to Kansas, but Northwest Arkansas is kind of like Charlottesville a little bit, like Bentonville, Rogers, Arkansas, like that area. Like it's very
Walmart country.
Yeah, it is, and but they have a lot of cool stuff there too. So we like to go down there. We haven't been down there in the past year or not, but
But Bentonville's crazy though, because it's like country, but then you got all those people that represent these crazy corporate brands that are there that have to live there because of Walmart. So you'll be downtown and you'll see like crazy expensive cars.
Yeah, you will
riding around. You're like, Jesus, am I still in Northwest Arkansas? Like,
yeah, I know like Bella Vista, Arkansas, which is right outside of right near Rogers and Bentonville.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a little tiny town. Now it's like 50,000 people in that area.
Gosh.
There's like 46 golf courses and all this. Because like when Tom was saying, like Walmart is based there, and one thing they said was if you want to sell in our stores, you have to put an office here.
Yep.
In Bentonville. So you're talking about like a little tiny place back then in the whenever that was, probably the 60s or whenever they did that. And these
Bentonville.
got like huge. There's an HG.
I believe that. Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's a pretty cool area though. It's not that bad.
Nice.
Tom, what are you guys going to do for podcasting? What do you guys talk about?
Oh, we just talk about whatever. It's funny. It took us about a year to really work out the format of what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
For our show. And it's really funny. My brother and I, we weren't even originally the ones that were talking about doing a podcast. I was actually originally talking to my brother-in-law about doing a wrestling podcast because we're huge pro wrestling fans. So we thought, and wow, if there's too many podcasts, there's probably too many wrestling podcasts, honestly. At the end of the day, Rob probably knows what I'm talking about.
There's a lot, but there's not many that are very good. So
that's true. Everybody listens to Conrad Thompson's kind of got that corner market cornered over there. But so then I'm talking to my brother about it, and he's like, "We should do a podcast." I was like, "I don't know, man. What will we talk about?"
Oh no!
But we've rarely lived in the same area since I left home. I'm 8 years older than him, and we'd have these really long conversations on the phone. We were catching up and talking and stuff. And he was like, "I mean, that could be a show. That's pretty funny. I mean, we're just riffing and talking about life and what's going on, and
sure,
sprinkle a little current events in there. Talk about movies and stuff we like. Do some beer reviews, stuff like that." So I don't know. It seems to have gotten a pretty good audience. We've gotten some people that have tuned and listened to it, but I think your advice about being real and kind of being yourself is 100% the way you have to be, because when you kind of like try to dumb yourself down or sanitize what you're doing, it comes across. I mean, people don't buy it, and they will tune out as soon as they feel you're being kind of fake. But even if you're being real, even if you're pissing half the people off and the other half are clapping while you're talking, the people are going to stick around and listen because, I mean, Howard Stern proved that. I mean, the people that were his fans, they listened for like 30 minutes. But the people that hated him listened to his entire 4-hour show every day. So, I mean, he's just being himself. He wasn't trying to be anything else. So it's, when you were talking about that, I was just nodding to myself like, yeah, it's just all really good points about podcasting.
It should be. I mean, Howard Stern to me, I love Howard Stern. And my dad was a truck driver for many years. And he used to drive up the East Coast usually. and he would come back
He was
home.
probably a Don Imus guy, though, right? That was back before Howard Stern.
No, he was Howard Stern. I never heard him talk about Don Imus. I always heard him talk about Howard Stern, but he would come home and talk about Howard Stern. He's like, "Oh, this guy's so crazy, it's so funny." And because my dad would have like the radio presets, like as he drove further north, he would just hit up,
just
the next
pick 'em
station.
up.
Absolutely.
And he listened to Howard Stern. I think that Howard was probably at DC 101, probably during.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was before New York.
I think so, and then he moved to New York. So
yeah,
and I remember riding with him when I was a kid and listening to. He's like, "Oh, Howard Stern's coming on. We got to listen to Howard Stern," And it was so crazy. Like they're throwing bologna at strippers' butts and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
And
it's Fiji.
That's Fiji. Bologna's a scientific term.
It's bologna booty. It's a common thing in the South.
Anyway, but I think Howard Stern is like the original podcaster, like the long.
It really is. Yeah,
the long interview format and just talking.
Oh, his interviews are the best.
Right, and I think a lot of people can learn from that. Like you said, just being yourself and being able to talk about stuff, and being happy with it. If you want to talk about wrestling, talk about it.
When the first episode I listened to from Half Hour Bros was Get to Know the Bros, and like I laughed so hard, like I just like started crying. My husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, these guys are just hilarious because they have a good dynamic and they're funny, and it's just I can see myself there.
Me, Tom, and Kurt.
Yeah, I think you guys' dynamic is really similar, so I think you do really well together. But
sure.
My cat needs attention.
This is
Tom, where can people follow you?
If you want to follow us on Twitter, on Rob's favorite place, Twitter.com. You can follow us at Half Hour Bros Pod.
Thoughts and prayers, Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah, for real. And we're on all the podcast platforms. You can just Google us and go check us out.
Anybody who wants to talk to me can just send a DM to Half Hour Bros. And
that's awesome. Yeah, we'll handle those for you.
Oh my god!
Tom's my publicist now, so we're good.
Beautiful.
I got another job now.
I'll be your agent, okay, guys?
We gotta yeah. Bree Poe's my agent, so we gotta.
And Rob, where can we find you on the? Oh my god, you just said it.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
It's that cat, isn't it? Got you distracted.
Yeah.
It's the wine and the cat.
Yeah.
Chardonnay. Bethel Dominican.
Lord, manna. The manna, man. Yes. And again, this is Bree and Tom from Half Hour Bros interviewing Rob, the one and only from
Are you on Half Hour? You're not on Half Hour Bros, are you? Because the way you said it sounded like you were on Bree and Tom from Half Hour Bros. But that's not right.
I said, this is Bree and this is Tom, and he's from Half Hour Bros, and I'm just the person behind Let's Chat, and I do all that stuff and make things happen.
You do. You're like the grand queen of podcasting.
That's
I'm the backbone of things. I get things done.
When are you going to do another podcast, Bree? You and Vanessa?
We're going to be shooting the Shite is going to be on Sunday instead of Monday because Monday's my daughter's second birthday.
Happy birthday.
So,
and
you can find us at letschatpodcast.com or on Twitter at Let's Chat Live, and come hang out with us. Be one of just okay. Thank you for coming.
Was there a Niner in there? You guys come off of the.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Catch him at Half Hour Bros live. I didn't even get to say my Twitter.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I never did.
At FDS Podcast 7.
FDS Podcast 7 is the Twitter, everybody. Follow me.
Thank you for that.